Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. India claims itself to be the largest democracy and it's great right to some extent, or rather to a great extent. But the political bouts that take place over there are almost comical, hilarious, but many times the germs of constitutional deadlocks. And if preventive steps are not taken, these germs can grow and destroy the institutions. One such institution is the governor of a state. Governor job is a sinecure job, a retirement benefit to the politicians or to the retired favorite bureaucrats or the military officers. And according to the constitution, the governor is just nominated by the federal government, the government of India, without taking into consideration all the advice of the chief minister of the state. Fair enough. He represents the president of India. But it's often forgotten that governor is not governor per se. He is to act as a constitutional head. Of course, he has a right to inform the federal government in case some unconstitutional matter is there, but he cannot take an action which violates the constitution, that is, go against the advice. His right is to advise the chief minister, not to order him. Now we have seen unprecedented interference by the governors in the matter of policy and governance in many states. Unfortunately, the media is reporting only those states where the governor and the party in power belong to the different political parties, like Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Pondicherry before Kiran Bedi left that place, and of course Kerala. The problem is these governors, some of them, forget that they are just acting as constitutional heads and they have to restrain their executive excesses. They have to conduct themselves as their office demands. For example, Kerala Governor Arif Muhammad Khan made an unusual announcement over social media. He said that the ministers of the state government who lower the dignity of the office of the governor can invite action including withdrawal of the player. Now he forgets that he has no right to dismiss a minister. He can dismiss only on the advice of the chief minister, as the president can dismiss on the advice of the prime minister. Mrs. Gandhi dismissed the deputy prime minister and the finance minister, Morarji Desai, and the president did so. He can't say no, but he can't take suo motu action. The Article 164 of the Constitution of India is very clear. And it says that the state minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the governor. Yes, but the pleasure of the governor is dependent on the advice of the chief minister. It's not the pleasure of XYZ, the individual governor, not Arif Muhammad Khan. It's the office. And the bad temper exchange is an observation made by the current minister that everybody is bound by the constitutional duties. The root cause was that the Kerala government had temporary control of the universities to the political executive, which is bad by itself. But that there are other ways of doing it. He could have referred the matter to the federal government. He could have returned the bill. He could have taken any action. But he doesn't have the power unilaterally to dismiss a minister. And the Article 164 in its entirety and the Supreme Court jurisprudence has made clear that the ministers are appointed and removed on the advice of the CM. And the Council of Ministers and the ministers are answerable and responsible to the assembly, to the legislature, not to the governor. If you look at the Supreme Court judgments, you would see that under the cabinet system, the governor exercises powers on the advice of the minister, unless there are some areas where the constitution says otherwise. For example, there is a deadlock in the working. The chief minister has lost a majority, or there is a rebellion against it. In that case, the governor has a jurisdiction. But again, then, what he can do is send a report to the federal government, and then the president will take action on the advice of the prime minister. Now, if I look at the examples where attempts have been made to usurp the powers that the constitution has not sanctioned the governors, that's amazing. For example, he ordered the duly appointed vice chancellors to resign within 24 hours. Then bizarre statement, I have withdrawn my prayer. And such ministers followed by a direction to a chief minister to remove him from the office. This shows the colonial mindset. He is not the viceroy having unlimited powers. Yes, the governors in the British Raj had that power. They were viceroys. The vice regal authority was in them. They could do it. Not the governors of today. And even the colonial word, doctrine of pleasure, applies at best to the civil servants and not to the elected ministers, and to issue a daily dose of public criticism disturbs the working and undermines the confidence of the people. He has full power to return the bill. Yes, once, but not the second time. And then his statements normally should be vetted by the chief minister. Definitely. No governor should make statements suo motu. And in the eye of the storm, if I see the governor Arif Muhammad Khan, where he said that the statements of the individual minister lower the dignity of the office of the governor. Can invite action reminds me of Queen of Hearts in Alice of Wonderland. She would say like the Mughal kings, off with their heads. This, if it had been only in Kerala, would have been acceptable. But it has been happening all over. It looks that the state governments are at the mercy of the federal government, which they are not. They have an equal power. The constitution gives certain states, or all the states, powers which are specifically mentioned as powers of the state. Then there are powers of the center. And if one aspires to be a partisan governor as Arif Muhammad Khan is doing, or as earlier the present Vice President of India and former Governor of Bengal was doing, then that's not the place. Now, Kerala is a state which has a consistent track record of having the highest human development index in India. And it's acknowledged that, and it's a called GT Yoga itself, that this is the best governed state. So by the governor interfering and needling the civic administration is not. The governor should not forget that he is mandated to act on the advice of the ministers. Yes, he has a right to advise. He has a right to, as I always say, the constitutional heads have three rights. The right to know, the right to advise, and the right to suggest. That's it. Suggest. And in the ultimate constitutional crisis, then he has the right to inform the president to take action. The pith and the pleasure of the principle is distilled in Article 164, Section 2, which makes the Council of Ministers answerable to the Legislative Assembly. The founding fathers of the Constitution of India, and I know Constitution, the way it is being treated in India, despite everybody saying we adhere by the Constitution and taking oath, is nothing but a scrap of paper. A Constitution which has been amended dozens of times is a scrap of paper. But unfortunately, it is there, and as long as it's there, it's sacrosanct. And it should be sacrosanct. The founding fathers of the Constitution avoided election of the office of the governor for this very reason. They wanted to insulate the office of the governor from the linguistic or regional chauvinism, and most importantly, political partisanship. There was a problem. And then one governor, S.R. Bomai, went to the Supreme Court. And in that case, Bomai versus Union of India, the Supreme Court quoted Bhagavad Gita and said that the governor is supposed to bring sobriety. So that they have forgotten. S.N. Agarwala, a Gandhian economist, was a member of the Constituent Assembly. And I remember fully well reading the letter he had written to Gandhiji, where he said that the governor's office should be abolished because it's anti-democratic and colonial. But it was defended because it is the link between the federal and the state government. So governor should be an arbiter when there is a constitutional deadlock, and he should be an impartial role. But that's not happening. The same thing happened in Sri Lanka. President Sirisena of Sri Lanka dismissed even the Prime Minister, who enjoyed the majority. And the result was a disaster. And then, as the sovereignty of the people have elected the Chief Minister. Whether you accept it or you don't, that's a fact. So you can't do it. Our Constitution is very clear. It does not allow the governor to dismiss any minister by himself. And I cannot deny that the office of the governor is very important. The political executive is prone to excess. In fact, what the governor should do is, which neither the governor of Bengal did, nor the governor of Kerala is doing, he should be a moderating influence. The power to send back a bill for reconsideration is just a pause button. But implicit in the constitutional architecture is the need of a governor to maintain proper public conduct. Here, these governors have demeaned the office. And if I had the say, I would suggest Modi to remove these governors. Another stupid governor is Malik, a BJP appointee, former governor of J&K, now in Northeast. His comments on Prime Minister and his comments on the Farm Bill were nauseating. No governor or a constitutional had disposed to voice the personal opinion or a biased opinion in public. If you have a different opinion, resign and then come out in the open. Let's not forget that the governor who speaks and acts with restraint has better credibility. And he is able to restrain the political executive better. So in order to effectively exercise their constitutional power, that the governor should refrain from any comments which can be perceived differently, which can be offensive, which can be partisan. And undoubtedly, the conduct of the governor of Bengal, the conduct of the governor in Pondicherry, but that was a different ballgame. I'll come to that in a couple of minutes. And of the Kerala now, and of Malik, are absolutely unacceptable. And to show that the federal government, the Modi government is committed to the constitution, these governors need to be removed. Absolutely. They should not be allowed to stay in the opulent Raj Bhavans even for a second. Then the case of Kejriwal and Pondicherry, Delhi and Pondicherry is different here. The chief ministers, they being the union territories, are not the sole, though they are elected by the parliament, but their powers are limited. They are not absolute. Most of the power, for example, even law and order in Delhi is under the control of the lieutenant governor. But even here, the governor, lieutenant governor, should be able to exercise restraint because they are elected by the people. So if you are a democratic setup, it's incumbent on you to adhere to the democratic norms. And governor is the chancellor of a university, for example, ex officio, by the virtue of being governor. Ex officios are not supposed to poke their dirty running noses in the day-to-day function. And if these governors are booted out, that would be a hint that the Prime Minister and the federal government really respect the Constitution. That would be a hint that they want to maintain the proper decorum and decency. That would be a clear signal that no deviation shall be tolerated and the institutions shall be made stronger, cohesive, and really useful rather than being made partisan tools. Thank you.